put my glasses in.
So everyone, this is Tim Nicholas with SIMPLEX / Johnson Controls. He's a sales engineer who is in charge of your district. So he's going to show you everything that you need to know.
Right. Awesome. First, the model number for the fire panel is 4100 ES. ES stands for extra special. No. Electronic service. It's more, when they upgraded to ES, they added a lot more features to the panel that we can remotely monitor the panel. Not the city type to call the fire department, but actually monitor the system. So over the weekend you get in trouble, we can call you guys saying, hey, we saw the panel went into trouble for a battery. Would you like service, things like that, or we can tell you ahead of time. When everything is normal, the system is normal, has the current time and date, and you got the green power light. These 6 red buttons are always active. Those are your acknowledge buttons. Fire alarm acknowledge is for if you get a pull station, smoke detector, heat detector goes off, that'll come up. The red light here will flash and it'll beep. Priority 2 is a non-fire alarm point. Sometimes we monitor generators or transfer switches, things like that, or security. Sometimes we do monitor doors. That would be a priority 2 non-fire alarm point. Supervisory acknowledge is sprinkler valves. When you shut the water off, it comes up as a supervisory. And also the CO detectors come in as supervisory. Trouble acknowledge is generic trouble within the system. Batteries go low, you lose power, smoke detector loses communication with the panel, that come up as a trouble. Alarm silence, that's how you shut off the horns. Strobe lights will keep going until you fully reset. And then system reset. Over here we got the bypass buttons. If you're doing maintenance or anything like that, you need to bypass stuff. If you don't want the horns to go off or to send alarm trouble or alarm signal to the city, elevator recall, things like that. Okay. If I come up here and press the button, it shows me insufficient access level. These are password protected. If I hit enable disable, same thing, insufficient access, those are password protected. The only thing that's working right now is the red buttons and these entry keys. So if I want to put everything on bypass, I got to log in. I want to log in as under the menu. Change access level happens to be the first thing that comes up. So that's what I want to do. So I hit enter. It shows me I'm at level 1. I can press number 1 to log in, number 2 to log out. So I press 1, enter the password, 333, enter, access is granted, and shows me I'm at level 3 now. Every button up here now is active. So if I turn on the bypass buttons, press the gray button, yellow light comes on, trouble start buzzing, acknowledge that. I created 5 troubles. Just by pressing the trouble once, I acknowledged all 5 alarms. That's called global acknowledge. If you were in the city of Chicago, you'd have to press the button 10 times.
Really?
Oh yes. It's called individual acknowledge.
Oh, wow.
And when it clears, you have to acknowledge it. So right now you see we got 5 troubles. The screen tells you press acknowledge to review. So I just hit the acknowledge button. City disconnect, signal bypass, door holder bypass, fan shutdown, and elevator recall. And it goes back to the beginning. You can do that for alarm. If I have 5 alarms, if smoke is traveling down the hallway, I can have 1 alarm, 5 alarms, 10 alarms, 20 alarms. I can sit there and hit the acknowledge button and it'll scroll through each one.
Okay.
If you're done for the day, after 10 minutes of inactivity, nobody touching any buttons, panel logs itself off automatically. So at the end of the day, if I want to take these bypasses off, I'd have to log back in again. So once I log back in, then I just press the same gray button, yellow light goes out, trouble goes down to 0, and the yellow light goes away. Enable disable. That's if you're doing work, say if we had like a smoke detector above the panel here, and you're doing work right here. They're tearing up the floor, changing it, sanding, doing whatever. I could disable that smoke detector so it doesn't false alarm. Mm-hmm. But the school can still stay online with the city.
So that we can hit disable that one.
Yeah.
Okay.
If ahead of time, get some maps or drawings that shows you the address of the device. If you know ahead of time, I could type it in here.
Or they're already in the system?
Yeah.
The room in the area?
Right.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Okay, yeah.
So I'm just randomly picking one right now, M1-50.
Okay.
Oh, I hit 5 again. LRC smoke detector. Right now it's normal. There is a sub-menu for a smoke detector, pull station, heat detector, like that. I can look up more information about that device. Hit the sorry. More info. Tells me the address, M15. If I hit next, tells me the communications. IDNet is the name of our communication protocol. Hit next, tells me it's physically wired to the main fire panel. It's a photo smoke detector versus ionization. It's the correct device. If I would take that smoke head out and put a heat head in its place, it'll know the difference. It's the wrong device. You'll get in trouble for that. It'll still work. The heat detector will work, but it's telling me it's the wrong device.
Okay.
There's no errors with the detector. Self-test is normal. It's programmed at 2.5% sensitivity, which is default NFPA levels. Through programming, I can change that to make it less sensitive or more sensitive. A good example is the coal mine at the Museum of Science Industry. It's pretty dirty down there. Yeah, we have all those smoke detectors as least sensitive as we can. The alarm, if it gets up to 126, that's when it goes into full fire. It averages, it's sitting about 58. Don't know why it does that with the 58. Right now it's at 0% of going in alarm. It's happy, no problems, not dirty. If a detector starts getting dirty, you'll start to see that climb up a little bit. At one time it peaked out at 65 and it got to 4% of going in alarm. So a good gust of wind maybe went by it or something like that, and it sensed it a little bit, but not enough to activate it. The range is normal, it's enabled, and verification. So I can find a heat detector for you again. Heat detector is kind of like a thermometer sitting there. Find the top of the shaft again. Right now I'm scrolling through every device in the system. I'm looking right here in case you think I'm reading it.
Plus, it's a new hot single that's coming out next week right here.
And Morse code, here we go. Heat detector, storage room. If I hit more info there, it tells me it's address 88. Same protocol, communications tied to the main fire panel. It's a heat. Just from programming knowledge, that heat detector is fixed. It's a fixed temperature. It has to get above 135 degrees before it activates. Through programming, if we want it to be a rate-of-rise heat detector, just through programming we can change it and it'll be a rate-of-rise.
So there's a difference between a heat detector and a smoke detector?
Yes.
Okay.
It's the correct device, no errors. Self-test is normal. It's programmed to go off at 135 degrees.
Okay.
Right now it's sitting at 69 degrees. In that storage room, it's 69 degrees.
Wow.
It's a thermometer sitting there, basically.
Wow, that's cool.
It peaked out at 75 degrees at one time. And it's enabled, and it's a heat, so just more information about the fire panel. I use that if I'm troubleshooting, if I'm here servicing, stuff like that, I can use that to tell me what's wrong with the device.
Oh,
If it's a bad detector, can you remove it and still be okay to activate it? You mean to,
If it's in trouble, if it loses communications,
yeah.
yeah,
Can you
you could
remove
take,
the-
if you take a head down now, you'll get a head missing trouble.
Okay.
The head talks to
But
the
it
base,
still
the
work,
base,
right?
yeah.
The building is still.
Oh yeah, all the other detectors, just that one.
Okay.
That's an advantage of addressable
Okay.
versus a zone.
you don't have that. You have some addressable.
Right.
The way we do, we still do.
Yeah, with zone.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, zone, you take a head down in a zone
Here,
system
his Kimball Hill and Kevin Carter Water Center at the two school.
that still have a combination of.
Right, but they
I think Kimball Hill is all hardwired still. Walter Sundling's mixed of
Of
both.
course, when rolling metals, Palatine gets the best. What are you going to tell you?
We're rolling metals now. You're getting
I called rolling ghettos.
Yeah, right.
You stop that.
Okay.
You stop that.
If I wanted to disable the detector, if I know the address ahead of time, the number 6 button at IDNet, I was telling you about the protocol,
Yeah.
it brings up the letter M,
And,
channel 1, dash, and whatever the address is. I go 50,
okay,
that's the custodian's office smoke detector.
E111.
I can disable that, hit the disable key, tells me hit enter to disable. Hit enter, action is taken, I get a trouble for it, and it tells me it's disabled. The system now is ignoring that smoke detector.
Okay,
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
Everything else is still working. Now you can go, I'll show you in a minute, I'll pull a pull station and disable an active point that's an alarm.
Okay,
If I want to re-enable, like if they're doing work in a custodian's office, going to create dust or smoke. Now all the work is done in the room, you want to go back online at the end of the day. You have to log in again, because after 10 minutes it logs itself off. If you know the address, you can type it in, or just hit the trouble acknowledge, bring it up on the screen, hit enable, tells you hit enter to enable, and it goes through a 1 minute countdown. It does that if it's going to false alarm. It'll tell you, warning, this will alarm, and how many seconds are left in the countdown. Hit disable to abort. But if everything's fine, happy, just please stand by. And after 1 minute, everything's clear, the trouble will go away, and the detector's active again.
Is there anything you can't do with the level 3 access, or?
No. Well, you can't alter the system.
Oh, no, of course.
No.
No, yeah. That's
No.
one of the things.
Level 3, every button here is working.
Okay.
Is there a log out? There's a
Yeah, there is.
log out on there?
You can, like I said,
That-
after 10
you said
minutes.
After 10 minutes, but like.
But yeah,
if you
there
do
is.
Something real quick.
I'll let that, if I hit any button now, that'll kill the timer and that'll start over.
Oh.
And that code's universal to all the?
Yes, it is.
Okay, all the panels?
All the panels, except Watterson and Kimball Hill,
Okay. Awesome.
okay?
That treats the same password.
Yeah, the same panel, but they work a little bit, and there you have to go to that area looking for.
But
Okay, yeah.
no, the password is still the same.
Okay, path's still the same though.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
After 1 minute, everything is normal. Close the alarm here.
No, that's different.
Call it out.
Does he have all the PDF files and everything? We wouldn't want to hear the loud siren going on.
That's what we need to do. That's what we need to do when we work. We need sample when.
I get an alarm as you heard it was beeping. I acknowledge it and it tells me pull station main entrance.
Okay, yeah.
Wow.
Now I try resetting it, it just won't clear.
It won't
Why?
clear.
It won't clear for some reason. Pull station's still pulled, you got
Yeah.
smoke lingering by the ceiling, it just won't go away.
Uh-huh.
Or somebody just knocks it off the wall, you just can't clear it.
Right.
Log back in with the alarm up on the screen here, I hit disable. Tells me hit enter, I hit enter. I get the trouble for it. And now I can go ahead and reset. Even though that is still pulled, that alarm will go away. Now I can go back online for the rest of the school. Call the fire department or Tyco IS and say, I'm in trouble, but please put me back online for fire only.
Okay.
Oh, okay. So that still stay off,
Yeah.
but the whole school still have the
Yeah,
protect-
so everything's still protected. You can leave for the weekend at night.
Okay.
If something else goes off in the school, it'll call the fire department.
Man and security.
Okay, yeah.
After 30 seconds,
See that?
now the alarm went away, even though that is still pulled.
See that, Nathan? That's more of a security.
But even if you
Yeah.
bypass the
Yeah.
point, it's still gonna stay in trouble.
But you
Yes.
need to know, you work with Chris and look on it.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So now I got 6 troubles. I got all the 5 bypasses here, and there's number 6, that pull station is disabled. Now if I want to re-enable it, hit enter. There's your warning, this will alarm in so many seconds because I have not reset that pull station. Hit abort, so hit disable, and now it's still disabled. Now I go back and put it, no, can't say it's disabled. Another thing, this brake rod is resistance only. It does doesn't affect the operation of the pull station. If you don't have one in there, it doesn't matter. It's still in there. It's just resistance. When you pull it, you gotta break the rod.
Oh,
Okay, yeah.
Or sometimes when you pull it, somehow it finds its way down here.
really?
Then you gotta pull it out so you can shut it. This
Yeah.
interferes with the hinge. Same key that operates the fire panel operates all the pull stations.
You guys call B key. B key over there.
B key, Cat 30,
Yeah.
it's all the same key. Now I wanna enable that pull station. Hit enter. Now it's gonna go through, please stand by, because everything is back to normal, and it goes through the 1 minute countdown.
See? Okay. Guys, this is something in Palatine, they not allow us to book the cover. This is double action. Pull double action. So they not allow us to book the cover. If we do have a special student, we have to notify them they're okay, and we can do it.
Okay.
But single action, you don't see it. Single action, you can book the cover.
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
we have one in the gym.
Yeah, other-
we have to
where
know
it's
They
designed
came
to
up
gym.
one time and said, beep, so
Those are battery
the
operated.
B coach pulled it up and pulled it, the whole line went out throughout the whole building.
But in Palatine, they not allow